Improving the offense this offseason will certainly be a goal of this front office, but who are some realistic trade targets that they could and should be interested in?
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Haffern, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lowe and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can give me a follow on Twitter, X at JD Sports Radio, and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. Want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5. That's math. It makes sense. Give it a try. All right, so the Cardinals got swept in Canada by the Toronto Blue Jays. Wah, wah. Which, honestly, it sucks. Like, it does, because nobody ever wants to get swept by anybody. The big issue was not really the pitching this weekend. In fact, two of the three games, you got excellent pitching. But it was the hitting. Again, the hitting, specifically with runners in scoring position. That continues to be the problem for this team. 2 for 27 over the weekend with runners in scoring position. That's crazy. That's crazy. And it's been pathetic like this all year. It's been a real problem. And nobody, at least nobody employed with the Cardinals, seems to have any answers for it, which is sad, really. There's just been nothing. No way to turn it around. Nothing is sparking anything. It's not working. And that's why, they're paying people like Turner Ward and others to be a part of this organization to fix stuff like this. And it just hasn't happened all year, no matter who was in the lineup. I mean, Ali can only shuffle things around so much. Eventually, it's just these guys are the ones who have to get the job done, and it's not working. It's not working. Now, you've got a couple of choices this offseason to improve the offense, all right? And I'm sure you know this, but first, I want it to be known that you fire all of these people behind the scenes. You fire them. Like, it's done. All right, it's done. Go get some people who have had actual success helping hitters, both young and old. All right, go find them, pay them, get them in here, and let them cook. See what they can do. I don't care who's friends with who anymore. This crap is not working anymore. I'm done. You need change. You cannot continue to roll the same thing out there again next year. You just can't. It's nothing personal against guys like Turner Ward and anybody else that's helping him. But enough is enough. They aren't hitting. They aren't winning. You're gone. Thanks for your time. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Bye-bye. Enough is enough. There are too many guys on this team that should be good, that people expected to be good, not just in the Cardinals organization, but across baseball, who are like, look, these guys are supposed to be good hitters. I don't know what's wrong. If you go watch any national shows, we don't know what's wrong with the St. Louis Cardinals. We don't know why they can't hit. Then find people who can figure out why and get them in there. So change all of that. Get them out of here. Second, you are hoping for progression instead of regression from a lot of people who are already employed on your roster, which is why you need new voices in the first place, because they're not helping them. So find people who will. Coming into this offseason, the offense was not the problem. If you remember us talking about what the Cardinals were going to look like in 2024, it was an offense that we were all that concerned about. You were expecting more, and it just hasn't happened. It wasn't the problem at the beginning, but it became a problem as the season went on. You're like, wait a second, something's up here. We're now in June, and a lot of these guys are still in the crapper. All right, why? Why are we here? How come we can't get out of it? Why do we have to keep sending people down to AAA Memphis to get right? Why can't you get them right at the major league level? These are questions that I have. I don't understand it, which means it's either these players aren't good enough or the people who are helping them are incompetent. and their message isn't working, or whatever they're telling them isn't working. I don't know where the problem lies. I don't know. I'm not in there. I'm not in the dugout. I'm not in the clubhouse. From everything we've heard, it's not a preparation problem. So where is the problem? Find it. Fix it. Fix it. You've got all these one-run ball games because your offense can't score more than 2 runs in a game. It's why your bullpen is taxed. It's one of the contributing reasons to your record, which is now under 500 again. You need new voices to help young guys like Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman, who were supposed to be guys who were in the middle of your order. And one of them's in Memphis. The other one's been at Memphis almost all year. That's a problem. You need them to become the people you expected them to be. And this is huge because if those 2 guys don't work out, if they have screwed them up enough to where they are, they're not fixable anymore, what do you do? Because these are first-round guys who, until you got to the major league level, have the skills to be major league hitters and hopefully star players. They were doing fine in the minors. Nolan Gorman actually wasn't that bad early on this year, and then he went into this huge rut. They couldn't figure out how to get him right. They ended up just benching him. Now they ship him down to Memphis where he's, hitting home runs and being Nolan Gorman. He's being the same guy. But for some reason, they can't fix him at the major league level. That means there's a problem in the personnel people up there. If they can't fix him, get the people in there that can. Okay? But you've got these guys that are they're going in the wrong direction. They're going in the wrong direction. And that should scare the absolute hell out of this front office, and it demands immediate change. You need a fresh set of eyes on veterans as well. It's not just the young guys. Like, how has Nolan Arenado gotten so bad? How has Paul Goldschmidt gotten so bad? Sure, father time, get it, got it, understand. But still, there should be a way to help them not drop off as badly as they have. Goldie has figured some things out here at the end of the year. What's going on? What clicked? What is it? What is it? Share the secret. We would love to know what happened. Lars Nootbaar, Brendan Donovan. I'm not letting these guys off the hook either. They haven't lived up to expectations. So if there's something you can do, because, you got Nato for 2 more years, and barring him agreeing to a trade, he's got a no trade clause. So unless he wants to get the hell out of here, you're going to be with him. Let's fix him. Let's not get rid of, just move on from the problem. Let's fix him. Let's fix him. New, we know, has got to stay healthy first and foremost, and then figure out if he's ever going to be the guy that is just that was going to be a better hitter than he has been, where he's just kind of a smidge above average over the plate. At the plate, the OPS plus has dipped 2 years in a row, 124, 114, 108. He's going the wrong way. Get him some help. Brendan Donovan, solid player. We love Brendan. Great. Can go all over the place. Offensively, OPS plus 124 in 2022. 114 last year, 105 this year. He's going in the wrong direction. Figure it out. Get the help that they need. Stop screwing around and being cheap asses and figure it out. Go get the people that will help these guys. The people you got aren't. It's not working. Next thing you can do, sign free agents. Obviously, that's another avenue you can go down, or you make trades. Now, today we're going to talk about the trade pieces, because if payroll is going to either stay the same or drop, they're not going to go sign anyone that would take this team to the next level anyway. They can't afford them. They're not going to be able to get into stuff like that. We discussed the Orioles' Anthony Santander in an episode not too long ago. Still a Cardinal type of option, in my opinion. He's a guy that would work with this type of team. He's not super young, not super old yet. Switch hitter, can play some outfield. Obviously, you can DH him, but he'd be a nice little fit. But depending on how high the salary demands go for a guy like him, we don't know if the Cardinals will even be in the market for somebody of his level of production. If you move on from Goldie and some of the pitching salary, you can squeeze him in, obviously, but it depends on what the payroll is going to be like next year. We don't know that yet. So let's look at some trade aspects of this. My guy Thomas Govain from Redbird Ranch dropped a very cool blog recently about some people. So let's see what he's got next for us coming up on Locked On Cardinals. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we've got something a little different for you now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. I signed up for this. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you get it for free? Then with a YouTube TV-based plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need to do is have a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. I'm telling you, game changer when you got 4 games going on. They got the 4-box thing that they use now. It's awesome. It's awesome. And it keeps you up, especially if you're a fantasy football guy and you want to keep an eye on all your dudes. It's so cool. I'm telling you. NFL Sunday Ticket will let you watch all of the out-of-market games, whether you're a Packers fan, you're a Chiefs fan who got a good call against the Bengals this past week, whether you're still with the Rams. That's fine. Doesn't matter. This is the deal for you if you're a fan of the NFL. So if you've never had NFL Sunday Ticket before, I'm telling you, this is a great opportunity to test it out for yourself. Give it a try by visiting FanDuel.com/lockedon and download America's #1 sports book. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast hosted by Paul Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully, who is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Reminder, you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Cardinals. They are back home tonight, taking on the Pirates and Paul Skeens. Good luck with that, boys. Speaking of, you need offense to beat guys like Paul Skeens. He's going to be in this division for quite a long time. So I'm going to link the story in the description from Thomas Govain at RedBirdsRants.com. But Thomas starts off at a position of uncertainty for the Cardinals in 2025 because it's first base, and we don't know what's going to happen with Paul Goldschmidt. He is going to be a free agent. Not sure if he's back or not. I'd assume that the Cardinals will try to bring Paul Goldschmidt back in some way, shape, or form. But as I've said before, maybe it's just time to move on. Maybe it's just time to move on and not do things the way they have normally been done over the last few years because it hasn't worked. And now you're in danger of having back-to-back losing seasons this year with those same ideas and those same patterns of how you do things and who you're signing and stuff. Maybe it's time to not do that anymore. What do you guys think? A little change never hurt anybody, right? So that would leave you. Let's say Paul Goldschmidt does not come back. That leaves you the combination, as of right now, under your control on the 40-man roster, Luken Baker and Alec Burleson as the guys that would probably play first base. I'm sure you could sprinkle in some combination of Ivan Herrera, maybe stick him over there, get his bat in the lineup sometimes. Brendan Donovan probably could play first base if you need him to. He's been there before. Some fans want Jordan Walker to give up the outfield stuff and move to first base. Personally, I still think that is a huge waste of athleticism, his speed, his length, his arm. I suppose that length would come into play playing over at first base, so that's good. But I don't know. Maybe it is something that happens with Jordan Walker sooner rather than later. I'm not completely sure, but I think they want to leave him out in the outfield. I think they've seen progression enough. How he's gotten better defensively and has made some strides, and they're starting to learn to trust him out there. So if that's the case, then you're going to need possibly somebody that you can bring in at first base, and that's where Thomas starts here, brings up Yandy Diaz from the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, Diaz is a veteran, let's put it that way, and a guy that had some success last year. He was very, very good. So here's what Thomas says about him. If John Mozeliak looks outside the organization for improvements, first baseman Yandy Diaz of the Tampa Bay Rays could be a perfect fit. 33 years old, has 2 more years of team control following 2024, thanks to his 3-year, $24 million contract that he signed last season to buy out his arbitration years. He's owed $8 million next year, and he has a $12 million club option for 2026. This isn't an expensive contract, and he can be cut fairly easily after next year if he doesn't perform well in St. Louis. Diaz is a career 289, 373, 434 hitter with a 126 OPS plus over 8 years. He was an all-star last year, and he won the batting title in the American League with a 330 average. He's never been known for his power, as he has a career ISO of just 145. However, his ability to make contact has always been strong. This year, Diaz has taken a step back with a 284, 341, 420 slash line to go along with 14 home runs and 65 RBIs for an OPS plus of 117. He does not strike out often, 15.1% K rate, but his walk rate has fallen to just 7.7% this year. Diaz also doesn't grade out as positively defensively as Goldschmidt has in his career, but he's close to a neutral defender nonetheless. My initial thoughts when I think of Diaz is 33. Don't want it. Not interested. I don't want another Band-Aid over the problem. A guy who is possibly in the regression stages, looking at you, Nolan Arenado, who all of a sudden turned 45 years old at age 33. You saw what he did in 2023. You were pretty sure he was going to do that again. You knew there would be some regression, but the numbers have fallen pretty good. I mean, you're down to from 330 to 284. And you're talking about a guy who doesn't have a lot of power already. It's not going to get better just dramatically and magically in the next year. So they'll probably keep falling. Like his numbers aren't going to go up all of a sudden. This isn't the PED era. So I'd rather take my chances with Baker, who I know can hit lefties, and Burleson, who I know can hit righties. I'd rather do that and just play a little, matchups, a lefty-righty matchup stuff over at first base instead. That's what I would do. No, I'm not interested in Diaz. Next on his list is an outfielder, Taylor Ward from the Angels, not to be confused with Turner Ward, the Cardinals' current hitting coach, which I've done on accident numerous times this season, where I'd be talking about Turner Ward, but I would say Taylor Ward instead. And yeah, it happened enough. But here's what Thomas has to say about Taylor Ward. 30 years old, right-handed outfielder who could realistically see time in center field, something the Cardinals could use desperately since Victor Scott II, Michael Ciani, Lars Nootbaar, Brendan Donovan, and Alec Burleson all hit left-handed. Ward would bring balance to the outfield in that respect. He's a career 252, 329, 430 slash line hitter, but his last 4 seasons have all been strong and have featured him being an above-average hitter. This year, Ward has a 246, 321, 437 slash line with 24 home runs for an OPS plus of 111. Ward's June and July months were poor, but he's managed to have a 1.182 OPS in September through 11 games. He's graded out as a positive defender in the outfield, according to all metrics for his career. Ward still has 2 more years of arbitration left, and he was paid $4.8 million this year. He's going to see boosts in salary these next 2 seasons, so he could eventually surpass $10 million via arbitration. His team control paired with his potent offense and serviceable defense could make him a costly commodity this offseason, but his strong offensive output should fit the bill. Now, when I see the numbers that Ward is putting up, all I sit there and think is, this is what Dylan Carlson and Lars Nootbaar were supposed to be doing, right? These are the guys that were supposed to have those numbers. Carlson long gone, right? He's with the Rays. Lars has had trouble staying on the field, so we don't know what he can be in a full season. But if you go look at what his 160-game projections would be, 246, 18 home runs, 59 RBIs, OPS plus 114, pretty similar to what Ward is doing. And Nootbaar's just turned 27 like a week ago. So he's still right there where the prime of his career is still there. So I like that Ward is right-handed. That is an important thing about this. The Cardinals have had trouble hitting lefties all season, and they've just got a very lefty-heavy offense. The roster's got a lot of left-handed hitters on it. So, and Ward is, in his career, been better against lefties than righties. So that would be, like Thomas said, would bring a little bit of balance there. That would be nice. He's a maybe. He's a maybe for me, but he still doesn't wow me. It's not like, ooh, game changer, bring in Taylor Ward. I'm not sure if he's such a vast improvement over guys you've got on your roster already, but I like that he hits from the right side. Next up, Brandon Lowe, also of the Rays, who can play both infield and outfield. Now, this is a guy who a couple years ago, I rode this dude in fantasy baseball to a championship, 39 dingers back in 2021, like out of nowhere. It was like, whoa. And I loved it. I loved it on my team. But as we've learned from Goldie and Arenado, a couple of years can make a pretty big difference. That was 2021. What's he doing nowadays? That's what we need to know. Here's what Thomas says. Health has always been an issue for Lowe. He's played more than 109 games just once in his 7-year career. But when he's been healthy, he's been an elite offensive player. After a slow start to the year, Lowe has turned it around quite nicely. 244, 321, 42 slash line with a 343 weighted on base average, 18 home runs in just 94 games. Strikeout rate has always floated around 25% for his career, but his walk rate this year has fallen marginally to just 8.9%. One would like to see a greater balance between these two figures, even with his extreme power output. He has never been an extremely streaky hitter, as his OPS has never dropped below 731 in any given month for his career, and his slugging percentage has always remained above 400. This is a welcome change for a power-hitting second baseman, as Nolan Gorman, the team's usual power-hitting second baseman, can be prone to heavy slumps. He grades out as a neutral defender according to defensive runs saved, ultimate zone rating, and outs above average, so his work on that side of the game isn't a concern. He's nearing the end of a 6-year, $24 million contract that he signed in 2019. There are 2 more years remaining, and they're both club options valued at 10.5 and 11.5. Once again, we are talking about the Rays here, so the Cardinals brass should operate carefully. So second baseman and an outfielder, which you love, guys that have that kind of ability. They can be versatile, and you can use them in different spots, which is always great. Always nice to have those guys. Another left-handed bat, though. Another left-handed bat on a team that has got left-handed bats coming out their butts. I mean, Donovan, Ciani, Scott II, Nootbaar, Burleson, Gorman, even their top-hitting prospects. You know, J.J. Weatherholt, who's lighting it up right now in the playoffs, in the minors right now, which is, you love it. Jimmy Crooks, the catcher, Chase Davis, Cesar Prieto. They're all left-handed. They're all left-handed hitters. Personally, I dig the price tag of a Brandon Lowe, but the next guy is who I'm more interested in. All right. Again, Lowe is more like a piece of the puzzle. He's not the guy to build around. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an impact bat. I'm not looking for another piece to go along with an impact bat. You don't have that right now. That's what you're missing. You've got guys like Nato and Wilson Contreras and Nootbaar and, you've got guys that feel like good complementary pieces, but you need that one bat. You need that one guy that people are afraid of. That's what you need. And this next guy, I think it would get fans excited. He's the thumper you want. He's the thumper you need, but you're going to have to pay to get him. So we're going to talk about him next on Locked On Cardinals. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members and is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Now, unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then you watch your winnings roll in. So sign up today, get $50 instantly. When you play $5, you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. One Caleb Williams passing yard. Get you one win on PrizePicks every week in September. As poorly as he looked in the first game, and he didn't look all that great in the second one either, he still got a yard passing, folks. So 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss the deal on PrizePicks. It is gone when September ends, just like the Green Day song says. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use that code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who's got you covered every single day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So the first 3 guys listed by Thomas are fine pieces to add to a lineup if it already had a big bopper, right? But this offense, as of today, does not have that. We're missing that. You're hoping that Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, Wilson Contreras, Nolan Arenado will be those guys, and maybe one of them steps up. You know, when Contreras is healthy, pretty awesome. He's pretty awesome. But as of right now, you need these guys to surround a bigger bat. You need a star hitter, right? Star hitters are not always available, all right? You know, what is Juan Soto going to cost, man, to get something like that? Like crazy, right? Teams aren't trying to trade star hitters. They just aren't. They're not trying to get rid of them. Try to sign them, lock them up, keep them long-term. Pete Alonso is a guy that if the Mets let him get out of New York, I will be shocked. Like, that just seems like a huge mistake to me because those guys don't come along very often. Can't just go find that. But there is a guy that has been rumored to be available for quite some time. And because of the team he's on, it makes a lot of sense to continuously call them because they always trade away players. And that would be Brent Rooker from the, do we call them Oakland A's still? Do we want to do that, or do you just want to say the A's, the Athletics, the Sacramento, Oakland, Las Vegas Athletics? Rooker is a guy that I've been talking about since last offseason. Not this, the one we just got to, before that. Okay? He's a guy that we've talked about for a while now. All right? He comes off as just a dude that mashes. Okay? There's nothing else you can say about it. He's just a hitter, man. And I know he's blossomed late, but this guy is a hitter. If you had any doubts about him, he's answered those questions here in 2024. Last year, he hits 246 with 30 bombs and 69 RBIs. You know, we're talking about him last year like, hey, maybe look into trading for him. Then you get to this offseason. Hey, this is a guy that you still should probably think about trying to trade for. Apparently, the A's weren't interested just yet in moving him. That's the stuff I've heard, and that's fine. But eventually, you know he's going to get paid. And Oakland's not going to, or Oakland, Vegas, Sacramento is not going to want to have to fork over the money yet. This year, Rooker is mashing at 301, 37 home runs, 107 RBIs, and just 36 more at-bats than he had last year. So he's gotten better. And here's what Thomas says about him. After slow starts with the Minnesota Twins, Padres, Royals, Rooker has found a home with the Athletics. He has spent most of his time as a DH, but he's also played a little bit of corner outfield for the A's. He's got a crazy 952 OPS and a 171 OPS plus, and in just 102 and a third innings in the outfield this year, he's accumulated -2 defensive runs saved and -3 outs above average. If the Cardinals acquire him this offseason, he should be used sparingly in the outfield, given the fact that the Cardinals have at least 5 players who could plausibly play the outfield next year. His time out there probably won't be necessary. The one-time All-Star will enter arbitration for the first time next year, so he still has 3 more years of team control. A player with his offensive profile and team control won't come cheap. To acquire Brent Rooker, at least one of the organization's top prospects will have to go. Perhaps John Mozeliak can get creative and send some major league players over as well to entice the A's. So that's certainly another portion of this too is, you know, if the Cardinals aren't trying to spend a gazillion dollars on improvements to their team, right? You know, they want to be cost efficient when it comes to this. He's making $750K this year. All right. The arbitration eligible next 3 years. You'd have him under control for 3, like Thomas said, before he hits free agency. And at that point, he will then be 33 years old. So you could choose to let him walk and move on with your life if you want to at the age of 33. Or if he's somebody that has been a big piece of your puzzle, you can try to see if he'll stick around. Now, what would it take to get him? As Thomas said, it's not going to be cheap. It's going to be a lot. But the A's don't want to spend money. So if you had to dabble off of the roster that you have now and dip into the minor leagues too, what would you say to a combination? I'm just throwing stuff out here. Let me know your thoughts on it. What about Lars Nootbaar, who's got 3 years of control? A's would like that. Nolan Gorman, tons of upside and control. Would Ivan Herrera, Pedro Pajes interest them? because you've got Jimmy Crooks coming up the pipeline, along with Leonardo Bernal at catcher. Plus, you know, some of your top 10 pitchers in the organization, guys like, Gordon Graceffa, Sikoa Roby. Could you throw those two guys in? Would that be enough? Is that too much, in your opinion? What do you think? Because I need a game changer. The Cardinals need a game changer. If you like Sajacy and win up the middle, then Gorman is expendable. You still got Brendan Donovan there. He can play some second base as well. You've got Walker, Donovan, Scott, Siani, Burleson. In your outfield already, Lars Nootbaar is expendable for a big bat like Rooker. You don't just throw Lars Nootbaar away, but if you're trying to get that big bat in the middle of your lineup, then he's definitely expendable. Everyone loves young pitching. I do not want to touch Tinkets or Quinn Matthews. I've got a soft spot for Cooper Jerpy as well. I think he's interesting. Those guys are all on your top 10. I don't want to touch them. Michael McGreevy, though, feels like he's earned a shot at the rotation for next year. At least he's going to get a look in spring training. Would you be willing to move him? Is that something that would be exciting for the A's? A guy who, when he did come up to the Bros, he looked good. And so far, since he's been back in Memphis, he's figured something out. It's been great. Would you be willing to move him to keep Graceffa and Roby? 2 months ago, McGreevy wasn't even on anybody's radar. And now, fans want to see him in the starting rotation. Like now, they're excited about him. Could you use that excitement to get Rooker to St. Louis? Out of all those names, the one that would really be hard for me to give up is Nolan Gorman. I have not quit on him yet. I refuse to quit on him. I would try to find a way that you can keep Nolan Gorman. But if you can get somebody who's doing it at the major league level from the right side of the plate, like Brent Rooker is doing, like we're not talking about a guy who's just kind of okay. Like he's crushing the ball as if he's one of the best hitters in baseball. His stats right now, he's one of the best hitters in all of baseball. If you can get him and then field a team with Mason Wynn at shortstop, Donovan in left field, which he's done a great job out there. I've got no problems there. Rooker's your DH. Contreras catching. Gorman at second, Nato at third, Burley at first, Walker in right, Siani in center field. Would you hate that? Would you hate what I just told you would be your starting lineup next year? What if Goldie is still here? And it's Burley in left field instead of Donovan. Goldie at first, Donovan at second base. Thomas Sajacy still on your roster then. He could play second base as well as be your backup shortstop. Is that so bad? Have I not improved the team? You tell me. Let me know your thoughts down below and on Twitter X. Cardinals and Pirates start their series. Skeens tonight. Whew. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough, especially the way this team just hit in Toronto. So good luck, boys. Good luck. But I want to hear your feedback. Get it to me. We'll talk about it in the next episode. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give me a follow on Twitter X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. You still are, in my eyes. And we'll see you next time on Locked On.